Hello everyone. In this video, I talk about Totem Pro licenses. This is our Pro version installation. It can be installed with a single admin user. In this case, it does not check the license file, and you can develop your solution up to a certain point. It is a fully functional version. The only thing is that Totem AI, which always requires a valid license, will not work for you. Okay, Cron and Service are technical users. They are not counted as users. Anonymous is disabled here. If we enable it, the system will shut down because we do not have an active license file. And also, if we change the number of concurrent connections for the admin, because by default, each user can work from only one browser at a time. If they connect from a second one, from another computer, for example, or from a second browser on that machine, the first session will be terminated. The concurrent connection setting allows you to specify that a user can connect with 2 or 3 browsers simultaneously, for example, from a mobile device and a desktop. But all concurrent connections consume license slots, and in this case, if we set it for the admin now, the system will be blocked. I will show you later how to unblock users from the console. For now, let's move on to the license. When you need to buy a license, you register on the licensing website. There, you will have a user registered with your email. You click Add License and specify the license parameters. I will choose 5 users for 1 month. And you need to specify the hosts on which the license will operate. Each license can have 2 hosts, one for production and one for testing. And you can add a second host later. You will not be able to change the hosts after you issue and activate the license because licenses are completely autonomous. Once you have received the license key from here, we do not affect it in any way. This, by the way, means that your Totem system, even if it operates in a completely closed local network, can work without an internet connection. You only need an internet connection at the time of installation. Afterwards, it can work completely autonomously. It does not interact with this licensing website at all. Okay, I have the host Pro Totem online. This is the host that users of your system type into their browser's address bar. I will explain later what to do if you have an intermediate proxy. The schema, it's this database schema that you will see at the top on the banner in your system. Note, it is not the licensing server system, but your own system. If you have a standard installation, then it is Totem in lowercase. I have Totem here, I click Save, and then I click Create License. At that moment, the issuance of a test license becomes available to you. A test license is needed so that you can verify that the license check is working on your server before you pay for the license. Okay, what do we do next? We go to your server's console. I have DigitalOcean installed here. You either access it or open it through the console that you use on your hosting provider. Switch to the Totem user. We go Home Totem Totem MIT. Even if it is Pro, it still installs in MIT. Here, we need to create a test license file with Nano Pro license test. We write the license file here, save it with Ctrl+XY. I use Nano. If you know how VI works and find it more convenient, use VI. Next, we need to check the license with the command bin/go module-test. And here's the response, indicating that the check was successful. It read the Totem configuration file data, connected to the database, checked the data within the database, read the license file, and verified the host. Let's go through it step by step. If you see any errors here, it is important to note which ones and at which stage. Usually, there are no errors with reading the configuration file or connecting to the database. If you do see such errors, it means that your system is installed particularly poorly, so please reinstall. So if you see that the license failed to load, it most likely means that you created this Pro license test file not using the console, using Nano or VI, but with, for example, some file editing tool provided by your hoster with a visual interface, and that tool inserted unreadable characters that you do not see. In this case, please delete the entire file and write it again. Also, check that you have copied the entire command that we see here and that it was copied fully from the license server. Next, if you see that there is a connection error to the host, this most often happens when you have a local network with intermediate proxies. And in this case, please refer to the instructions on how to install the system with intermediate proxies. If, however, you are using DigitalOcean or any other similar hoster and you see a host verification error, then check that the host is written correctly. How can you check this directly from the console? From the console, the say_l command should be executed. I will add the -l option to the host that you are checking. In my case, it is serl https pro totem online. I execute it and receive some response from Totem, but only through the console of the server on which it is installed. Okay. After we have checked the license, we confirm it on the licensing website by clicking Confirm. We enter the verification code. Then here you select your country, fill in your organization details, or enter your name, depending on the original settings, and pay according to the options available in your region. I set it to show that my license is paid in order to demonstrate how it works next. And after payment, you will receive an email confirming that the payment was successful and that you can now activate your license. To activate it, you must click Activate and enter the code. The license period will start from the moment you activate it, if it is the first license in the series. If you renew or modify the license, then its start automatically begins on the day after the license you are renewing or modifying. We have activated it, and here, with a green bar, it shows as a working license along with a brief instruction on how it is installed. Everything is the same, only we need to create the Pro license file. We also go to the console. I remind you that these operations are performed by the Totem user from the folder Home Totem MIT. The file is pro.license. We write the working license into it, Control X, and after that, we need to execute the following command. We need to restart the Totem Go module because it reads the license at startup. When you update the license, for example, when you extend its term, you edit the Pro license file, remove the previous license, write the new one, and restart the Totem Go module with the command service totem-gom restart. Okay, and you can check the same, just the status. You see that the Go module is running. And now we can look. Let's refresh here. Our system is working. If I enable the anonymous user, then my license is for 5 users. Everything continues to work. And everything is fine. Now let's look at a situation where for some reason we have exceeded the allowed number of users. This happens. For example, I will set 10 connections for the anonymous user here. And during the next license check, which happens quite quickly, the license tells us that the number of users has been exceeded. What do we need to do? We need to disable the extra user. How is this done? From the folder totem.memit, we can execute the command bin totem schema user schema, your database schema, list equals all. We run it, and we get a table with all the users in our system, as well as information on how they are consuming license limits. And we see that the total is 10 here, although we know our license is for 5 users. How do we disable it? For this, there is the command bin totem schema users. Next, specify the schema. Then use auth equals. And we must specify either the login or the email, if present. Because there are users, for example via LDAP, who do not have a login but do have an email. And we want to disable the anonymous user who is taking up 10 license slots. Even though this user is marked as a licensed limited user. If your license does not include limited users, then they are considered full users. If you have issued a license with limited users, These are users who have access to a restricted number of tables for setting up personal dashboards, for example, or other connections for your clients, couriers, or other staff who do not need extended access and only require a couple of tables, and they are cheaper. But here we have a license without limited users, so it does not consume full slots. And to disable it, we enter its login here, press enter, and we can check with list all. And here we see the table showing that it is disabled. Now we can refresh our system and see that it has been unblocked. And finally, what I will show in this video is the modification of the license. Because, for example, you bought a license for 12 months, but you need to extend the term. Or you bought, for example, a license for 5 users or for 10, but during the process, you need to add additional users. You click Extend Modify, Modify, and here you can specify, for example, 10 users. And it will indicate that there will be an extra charge showing what it is, and the extra charge will depend on the remaining period of the original license term. Also, the license can be modified with zero cost without any extra charge. For example, if you need to add a second host, we have ProTotem Online. I want to add a technical host. And for example, this is an installation in an internal local network. And in this case, we specify the IP number here, and here perhaps the same schema if it is another server, or a different schema if they are on the same server. Here, Totem is highlighted in red, which means that you should be careful to ensure that these are indeed different servers. We create the modification. By default, it is not confirmed. That is, it is at zero cost. You need to confirm it. Once you confirm it, further changes will not be possible. We confirm. And then, when you have 2 hosts in the license, it offers you to download either a single file with both hosts here, which is necessary if both hosts are on the same server. If your hosts are on different servers, and especially if you have the same schema names indicated, because one is on one server and the other is on a different server, then in this case you download one file and write it on one server, and for the second with a different host, you write it on the second server. That's all about licenses and about working with users. Bye-bye.